Hello there, Gunpla fans of YouTube. It's I, GZ Maven, once again. It's time for a Gunpla review. Unscripted, as always. So today I'm taking a look at a Master Grade kit. This is the Master Grade Gundam Barbatos. Some people call it the Barbie. This came out in December of 2019 for the price of 4,500 yen. Only puts it around the $50 mark in dollars. I built this kit a while ago, around the time when it came out. Never really did a proper review on it, but I'm going to do that now. Because you know what? This is a kit worth talking about. So I get into it. So, box art. Pretty classic pose of the Barbatos swinging that mace, smacking that graze. Very reminiscent of the first Gundam, the RX-782 slicing the Zaku with the beam saber. In fact, it might be the exact same pose. Pretty close. Anyway, good box art. Side box here gives you a few pictures of the assembled kit here. What it's like all together and everything. A little bit of articulation showing off some of the things about it, and the Gundam frame, which is kind of the big thing about this kit. I'll get into that in a bit. A little bit of information about the ASWG-08 Gundam Barbatos. It's not Barbados. Anybody that says Barbados, you slap them. It's Barbatos, not Barbados. Anyway, look at the weaponry here. You got the mace, the sword, and the smoothbore gun. See what our little gimmicks are showing off here. All together and everything, and straight out of the box. Here's the box with the runners and the bags. This is what you're going to see when you open it up. So let's jump in and look at the manual here. Get some more information about the Barbatos here. The Gundam frames, the Calamity War. If you've never seen IBO, that's kind of a thing that comes up in the show. List of all the runners here. We got, let's see, how many runners do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. 18 runners. You get a sheet of stickers here. I should have a photo of the stickers here. Anyway, construction of this kit. If you built any Master Grades before, you will have no problem with this kit. If you have never built a Master Grade kit before, just be aware this kit is a little bit different from the norm. It's a little bit more complex than the average Master Grade kit, I would say, mainly because there's a really big focus on the internal frame of this kit. Bandai's engineers really kind of went the extra mile with the internal frame, with the Gundam frame on this kit here. So there's lots of little tiny parts in it, there's lots of little pistons and moving segments in it throughout the frame and everything. So I'm not saying it's a difficult build, but you will need to pay attention to the manual. I very much recommend this is a kit you do want to pay attention to. So a lot of times I say kits are like, it's a pretty straightforward build, and that's the case for most of Bandai's kits because they do a pretty good job of it. This case, you want to pay attention because there are some tricky things on this kit. So not that it's a hard kit to put together. It's just there's a lot going on, even though it looks like a pretty simple kit. It's not. So, just kind of going through the manual here real quick. There's nothing really I want to stand out here because I kind of want to get to the actual kit itself here. So, now, have you ever heard people describe this as being like two kits in one? There's a reason for that. It's you can kind of see it right here. The frame itself is almost treated like a separate kit, and then you put the outside armor pieces on, which there's actually not that much of. And that finishes the kit up. So I have heard of people buying 2 of these kits One to just build the straight Barbatos, and another just to have the Gundam frame displayed by itself because it really is that good. So here's the markings that come with the kit. You get the standard sticker type markings, as well as one small sheet of foil type stickers. You really only need the one for the scope on the smoothbore gun. The one for the eyes you don't really need because the eyes come molded in a green plastic color anyway, so you don't really need those, but you have them if you want them, so there we go. Here, look at the runners here. This is A1. This is the first of the Gundam frame runner here. It actually says that right on the runner here. It says Gundam frame. So Bandai does plan to reuse this frame for future IBO master grades. Someday. They haven't done it yet, but someday they will. So all of these are Gundam frames. A2 is also Gundam frames. You got hand parts for the internal skirt, legs, and hands, and the backpack, I believe, here. B runner, you get 2 of these. These are parts for the legs and arms, mostly. You get the C1 and C2. You got duplicates of those. Again, parts for the legs and the feet here. D1 is our silver pistons. This is not silver plastic, this is silver painted. Do remember that, so you will have to be mindful of the nubs when you clip this off the runner. There will be some marks where you cut it off the runner here, so you will have to get some silver paint and just kind of cover those marks up. Most of the time you probably won't notice this once it gets put together, but it's still probably a good practice to do anyway. D2 is our gold plastic. Kind of wish Bandai would have painted these gold too, but they didn't, so we got gold plastic here. It's not too bad. You don't really see too much of it on the kit anyway, because it's mostly just on the internal frame. But if you want to, you can just get some gold spray paint and just quickly paint over it and just make it look halfway decent and just leave it. Alright, so E, the E runner, is our first multicolor runner and the first actual external parts for that actually make this the Barbatos. So we got some yellow plastic here, we got our standard white, we got our red, and we got a little bit of clear green for the eyes right there. This is the F1. These are parts for the legs and the arms, all white plastic. F2 is a partial copy, again more white plastic here. And G runners, these are 2 runners. This is mostly a black, really dark gray plastic. These are for thruster vents that are kind of on the kit. The H runner here, this is actually I got this thing that's upside down. This is kind of a clear pink. This is for those little emblems, the glowing emblems that are kind of on the Barbatos armor here. That's what this is for. The eye runners are pretty small runner. This is our blue. Not a whole lot of blue on this kit. Just kind of a little bit on the torso, a little bit on the back of the arms, and that's it. So it's a pretty small runner. The I2, this is parts for the smoothbore gun. It comes in this brown plastic. You don't really see brown as a color on a Gundam kit too often here, but in this case we have that because the smoothbore gun, for whatever reason, is a brown, chocolatey color, so... Yeah. And J1 is more parts for the weapons here. This is a dark gray for the mace, the sword, and other parts for the smoothbore gun. J2 is a partial duplicate with some more parts for the mace. Here's some construction photos I took when I was building the kit, just to kind of show off some of the detail of the frame here while I was building here. So, we have a little Mika figure, like the seated pilot figure for Mika that goes inside the Gundam. There's actually 2 ways to open the cockpit on this kit. There's a front hatch and there's a top hatch. So we got 2 hatches on the cockpit for this kit. And there's the top hatch opening up like that, with a little gold Gundam frame part right there. Here's the completed torso here. The Gundam frames are known for having their pair of AHAB reactors. I believe that's what they're called. They're the these cylinders that are on the frame. There's actually two of them, one on both sides, and they actually have a piece that actually spins around inside of them. You can kind of move it around if you want. Here's a, let's look at all those pistons and the shoulder articulation here. Kind of show you off here. So here's more of the frame as I'm building it. Got the head and the shoulders on there now. And the eyes, the clear green in the eyes is UV reactive, so you can use a UV light to kind of light that up, like I did here. Here's the completed frame. It's kind of showing off some articulation tests while it's on my desk here. I'm working on it. Getting pretty good. And here is the completed frame in the photo booth. Looking really, really snazzy. So this may come as no surprise, but in my opinion, out of master grade kits that have been coming out the last few years, this kit has the best looking internal frame of a master grade kit of the last few years, and I really mean that. Bandai put a lot of effort into this thing. In fact, I'd say that is the big selling point for this kit, is the internal frame. There's so much going on with the internal frame on this kit. It's a little complex, but once you get it all together and detailed up and everything, this thing is gorgeous looking. I've seen people do full paint jobs of this, and it just looks magnificent. There's a lot you can do here to really make this frame look good. That's why I mentioned there are people who buy two of these kits, one for the Barbatos and one for the internal frame. And there's very good reason for that, because it's a very nice looking internal frame. I mean, just look at this thing. There's so much nice mechanical detail on this thing. It's just fantastic. I wish more of the master grade kits had internal frames like this, but unfortunately, like, I do feel like Bandai's been kind of cutting back on the detail of the internal frames on master grade kits in the past few years. They're okay. They have details in certain places, but then other parts are kind of very bland, or it's just for structure stuff. There's nothing really important. The Barbatos is the exception here, because that is kind of the focal point of this kit here, is the internal frame. There's actually marking stickers that go on the internal frame too, as you can kind of see here in the pictures here. And just showing off the articulation. Articulation is actually pretty dang good on this thing, despite how complex it is. So now, is it perfect? There are a few minor quibbles on this here that I'll kind of point out here as we kind of go along here, but really, this is one of the best looking internal frames on a Gunpla kit in years, and probably the only thing comparable is the stuff I've been seeing on real grade kits recently. I think Bandai took some of their internal frame designers and moved them over to the real grade line. Now, I think they're working there now, not too much on the master grade line anymore. So the hip is adjustable, as you can kind of see right here. It kind of goes up and down. It's a pretty simple system. And they're showing off some more of the articulation here. I have a ton of photos of this kit, so I might move a little fast through this here, because I do want to get to the live view here. Okay, so these pink clear parts here, they don't have anything behind them, so they won't really... The ones on top of the white will look lighter, but there's a few that don't really have anything behind them, so they'll just look kind of dark. So what I did is I took the pink Gundam marker that I had and painted the pink behind all of them, just to kind of brighten them up. It also has the double effect of being UV reactive now, so these things will all light up when I shine the UV light on them. It looks really nice. It does. Here's a completed kit, the Barbatos all put together. It's very nice. It's actually, it does remind me of a little bit of a real grade in some ways. And I know the frame, I already talked about the frame here, but just the level of detail in the external parts here, it's not super, but there is a good level of panel lines and detail on the external parts here. It's enough to keep you busy. So if you like that sort of thing, you definitely got that on this kit here, and I think it looks really good. It looks really great when all panel lined, and the stickers and markings, it's up to you if you want to use those or not. I think it looks good either way. So, but yeah, just put together, this is a really nice looking kit when put together here. Again, doing some articulation tests here, just kind of show you what you can do here. I mean, there's even detail inside of the hands too. I know, probably should in the internal frame shot, but there's some detail inside the frame and inside the hands too. Again, knee bend right there, pretty good. The back of the knee will kind of move in and out to kind of help with the knee bend a bit. The backpack kind of does all kinds of things. It can kind of open up and pistons are in there and the vent can move around and everything. There's little weapon holster clamps on there. I'll show you when I get to a live view. Here's those hands. They have the Barbatos claw-like hands. So you have that on here. So again, that all looks pretty good. And it's actually pretty sharp fingers on this thing too, by the way. So don't press your hand too hard on them because they're all kind of sharp a little bit here. But look at that wrist bend. That's a 90-degree wrist bend on this thing. It's pretty something, and that works really well with the sword. When you're doing poses with the sword, looks great. Speaking of the sword, here's the sword. Again, it's a nice sword. I like it. It's simple, but it works. Sword two-handed here. A little bit of UV light in there. Here it is with the mace here over the shoulder here. Standing ready to bash something here. So here's that same box art pose here with the mace. Trying to do the box art pose. It does a pretty manageable job of it. Now the blades on the mace can be detached and used as kind of like small swords. This is sort of an unofficial thing to do with the mace here. This is something that was never done in the anime from what I recall, and I think the original high grade kits never had this option. So this was something specifically for the master grade. It's a nice option if you want to use it. Just going to look at the cockpit hatch there on the top and one on the bottom there. Now in the backpack you have to pull out these little clamps and then attach the weapon holder adapter. This kind of slides in there. And you get two of these. One is used to hold the mace and one is used to hold the sword. And it does a pretty good job at it. And surprisingly enough, the Barbatos is still pretty well balanced even with both of these weapons on the back. Now the other weapon, the big weapon, is the smoothbore gun here. You can see here. This thing's pretty neat. The barrel will come out and fold up around and go into a storage position here. And it'll be like this here. It can also be attached on the back, just like so. Preferably you want to put it on the right side of the backpack so that can go underneath the right arm. That seems to be the way it's intended to be. Here it is up on the action base. Action base connector is up on the bottom of the kit. And here it is with the smoothbore gun out, ready to fire. It's supposed to pose it underarmed, just like that, so looks pretty good. It's not too hard to pose with either, so you can actually keep it attached to the backpack while it's like this here. So you can kind of see here it's still attached to the backpack like that. Again with the UV light here, just kind of showing off the glow inside these little symbols here and the eyes throughout the kit. Pretty cool effect here. So. And here's the accessories. Again, smoothbore gun, the mace, the sword, the weapon adapters, the action base. We got the closed fist fingers. We got the open hand holding fingers, and what we don't have pictured here is the open hand fingers. Here's just a close-up shot of that Mika standing figurine with his fist in the air. He's supposed to have Orga next to him. No fist bumping, but we don't have an Orga figure. Pretty sure we don't. Anyway, let's move on to the live view and just kind of continue there. Okay, live view. Here's the Barbatos here. I already talked a lot about the physical appearance of the kit, so I'm going to get a little bit more into articulation here and some of the things this kit can do and some of the things it kind of has a little bit of trouble with. Now, as I said, this thing has a fantastic internal frame. That's kind of the big selling point of this kit. Like I said, excuse me. Like I said, Bandai put a lot of effort into making the internal frame as amazing as it could, but I have found it's not quite as, flexible or capable of posing as some other kits, especially like ones in the newer real grade line. It does have some limitations, but I'll kind of get into it as I go into the articulation here of the kit here. So, starting off with the head here, it can go back and forth a little bit here. It can and get it to look up a little bit like so, and get it to look down a little bit like so, side to side, and turn all the way around like so. Side to torso here. Again, you got this nice little piston mechanic that kind of goes off here. Then kind of turn forward that way, turn back that way, and turn side to side, and see those big pistons on the side right there. Move like that. And you can rotate like so. That. Cockpit hatch, I guess, while I got it here. Slide it down like that. And this thing doesn't really have a stop on it, I've noticed, so it will end up pushing too far back, like that, which is not quite the way it should be, so it needs to be a little bit more forward, like that. So don't push it all the way forward here. And the bottom hatch here will open up like so. It's a little loose, I would say, so it's not really that big of a deal. Now the arm here, rotate up and around. Arm bend, come like so, and the part kind of came off already here on me. Needs to go back on here. There are lots of little parts on this kit. Now the shoulder here, inside you can see these pistons, they can move around while the shoulder moves like that. Pretty nice piston action here. You can kind of bend this up. Carefully bend this up. Now I say that, hand came off, that's not a big deal. Now I say that because when I was, excuse me, testing this, I actually overstressed the connection point for the shoulder here. This is why it's loose. I overstressed this little hook here. This one I didn't overstress, this one's fine. But when I was testing, I overstressed this a little bit here, and I actually bent this. So now the shoulder is loose here. And that just happened for me bending the arm up a little too far. So that is one weakness on the frame you do kind of want to be aware of. Don't overextend the arm up. Also, the other thing is not to overextend the elbow joint too much, because I have several times this piston has actually come out of the socket. I don't know if I can get that to happen here, but there's been a few instances where this has just come out, and I've had to kind of get that back in place here, so... Again, it's just kind of one minor little niggle to kind of keep in mind. The same thing with the shoulder, is not to overextend the shoulder here. So, let's move on to the hand here. Again, the hand I already showed off. Amazing wrist joint on this thing. It's not really on a ball joint, it's kind of plugged in by a socket that's in here, so the only thing you really need to change out is the hands, is the fingers on here. The thumb is on a ball joint. Kind of move that around like so. Move it around like so. Move forward and back like that. So, let me talk about backpack before I move on down. Stuff going on the backpack. We have this movable thruster, the single thruster vein back here. Go back and forth like that. Now these weapon holder systems, kind of got to pry these out a little bit. Come out like so. Like that. They can actually slide up and down inside of here. And so you can kind of move them around like so. Now this little piston here, there's really not any strength on this piston. This will just come right out if you pull on it. So it's not really going to lock itself in there. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's going to come right out. So, and on the sides here are the clamps. These will extend out. These are for attaching the weapon adapters and the smoothbore gun to. I'll show you off in a bit here. Put this back in here. And just fold it all up back like that. Down, down to the waist here. Back skirt armor can move up and down like so. The side skirts, they move up, but it's kind of better just kind of rotate these out of the way if you want. These are on ball joints. The front ones can move up out of the way here. Now inside the hip here, like I already mentioned, there is an adjustable hip mechanism. It just kind of goes up and down like that. Really good. Moving it down will give you a little bit more range of the leg. like so. And our leg joint, our knee joint, or should I say, can go like that. But you want to move this piece down. That's what this is for. Move that down, you'll get a little bit more of a bend out of that. So pretty good. Also, these little side thrusters, you can kind of move these around a little bit here, up and down like so. And going on down to the foot here. You can move it back, but you kind of want to move this piece back a little bit. Yeah, where you can kind of move back like so. The toe will come off as long as you don't overextend it. Come down like that. This ankle guard can come move like that. The front of the toe can also move forward like so. Side to side on the foot. All the way like that. All the way like that. So there's actually pretty good side to side range on the foot here. And that pretty much does it for the articulation on this kit here. Again, it's pretty good. It's pretty good for what it is. Just because this isn't really built like a regular master grade internal frame, because there's so many pistons on this kit here, it does kind of function a little bit differently. And you want to be you want to take a little bit more care with it. Don't want to be like me and kind of overstress some of the joints on this thing. Otherwise, you'll run into a few issues with this kit. Alright. Accessories. So we get this sword. It's only really two pieces here. It's just the blade, handle, and this piece. It's a really nice sword. You use the holding hands for this here. There's called notches in the holding hand here, but match up to the notches on the handle here. You'll just put it in like so. This one goes on the left hand. And it holds on just like that. It's a good solid grip, it's not going to drop it. Now the mace here, I'm not as big a fan of the mace as I am of the sword and the gun. Mainly because the mace is a little... It just feels loose to me. It jiggles. I don't know why. It's not... I mean, you're not going to see this in photos here. Just kind of in action when using it. It just feels a little flimsy. I don't know why. I want the mace to be solid. That's what I'm trying to say here. But there's a little handle piece. This moves in and out. Like so. The big reason for moving in and out is to extend the spike on the end here. This can come out like that. This is the pile driver spike on the end here, so that can come out. The blades, these side blades can come out for holding in the hands. Kind of ends up turning the mace into like a bladed, like a long bladed weapon instead, so it can still be used like this here. And you can just pop these back in. They're just held in. They're easy to take in and out. And then lastly, we got our smoothbore gun here. There's a couple of things on this here. One is this piece down here. This is basically a small gun down here. This has the actual handle on it, and it kind of slides back and forth on a track right there. And then you have like the main cannon here. So in storage, it's kind of clipped into this little spot right here. I'm gonna basically slide it back, unclip it, slide this back, pull the gun all the way back like that, and then shove the barrel in here. Now the cannon is ready to deploy. The back here is where it will attach to the backpack system right there. And there's your scope. Unfortunately, we don't get a clear piece for the scope on this kit. You just get a sticker, so you will have to use this. Otherwise, it's just going to be brown plastic there. So probably the one thing they maybe could improve is just provide a clear piece for the lens on here, but it's not a big deal. And we got that. These are the adapters for the backpack weapons here. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how those work. Let me take the hands off here. So again, these are pretty simple to use, but you gotta kind of get them on here first. Pull these parts up, like so. We're gonna just take it off, that's easy too. You want to slide the little clamps out, and these will just kind of slide in like so. I'll get that back in there. I'm just going to do that one. It's going to be the same thing on this side here, but I'm going to pull these clamps out anyway just to kind of show you how the cannon attaches. So to sort of see it, no, what I'm saying now. So with a sword here, it's pretty simple. It just slides in just like that. Very simple. For the mace here, pretty simple. You got to kind of get it in here and then slide it down, and there it is like that. Actually, it might be a little better if I have it higher up on there. I think it might supposed to be higher up, you know. So if you kind of get it like that, that also might work too. So it would be like that. It's not a perfect connection. It's a little bit loose, but it'll stay on there. So for the smoothbore gun, it's going to attach to this thing right here. And you're not going to use the adapter, it's just kind of going to slide right on there, just like that. And when you're going to get into firing position, you're going to kind of carefully maneuver this around under the arm, best you can. It may take a little finagling to get it in there, but you're generally going to get it into a position kind of like this here, and the handle can kind of come around to where the hand is, like so. So that'll give you an idea how you're supposed to kind of get this in position here. So it's gonna be something like that. Anyway, I'll just kind of let that come off of here. But anyway, it's a nice looking weapon. All the weapons look pretty nice on here, so I got no problem with that. And let's see, last thing, action-based adapter. Actually, let me fix the backpack here real quick. Backpack got all kind of jank on this now. Here. There we go. Alright, action-based connector goes on the butt of the kit right here. Just like that, and you're going to use any of the larger action-based stands are going to connect to this here, so it'll just be held on like so. It's a nice solid connection, it's not going to come off, so pretty good. So alright, so there is the Master Grade Gundam Barbatos. I think this is probably one of the most impressive Master Grades that Bandai has put out in recent years, mainly because of the frame. They put so much effort into the frame on this thing. It's just a joy to look at. So I would say if you're, even a moderate fan of the Master Grade kits, like, you should get one of these and build them just for the experience, because this, I wish more of the Master Grade kits were kind of like this kit here. Even though there may be a few finicky issues with the pistons and joints on this thing, I still very much highly recommend this kit here. It's a different experience than a standard Master Grade kit, and it just gives you like it's such a fun build, because it is something different to experience in the line here, and I kind of miss having like really good detailed inner frames on master grade kits here. Most of the time I get that experience from the real grade line now, so like I said, I think maybe Bandai's focus on internal frames for the real grade line now, not so much for the master grade line. So, but anyway, again, it's about $50 if you see one and you haven't built one before. Again, what are you doing? You should get a Barbie. Barbie's a fun kit. It's a fun master grade kit. So, and hopefully someday Bandai will release another IBO master grade. Someday. It's been a couple years now since this kit came out, so I don't know what Bandai's waiting on, but someday we'll get another one. I hope they do a Barbatos Lupus, because I kind of prefer the Lupus a little bit more than the standard Barbatos or the Rex here, but someday. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the review. As always, if you enjoyed things, leave a like. If you want to support the channel, be sure to subscribe and let me know what you think, and it's always appreciated. And if you want to comment on anything about the kit or any questions, of course, drop it below. I'll try to answer as best I can. And yeah, that'll be it. And I will hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.